All right, and now we're joined by Minnesota Timberwolves' sixth man of the year, Naz Reid. Naz, thank you for joining us. Anybody who's followed the podcast for the last year and a half, 2 years, knows that we are big fans of Naz Reid. So we particularly appreciate you coming on in the middle of a playoff series. It's great to have you on, man.
Appreciate you having me.
Definitely want to talk Timberwolves and Nuggets. I want to talk a bunch about your team. Actually, I want to get your perspective on this because I've seen some clips recently of you on different podcasts talking about your journey. And you were someone who was McDonald's All-American, highly rated high school prospect. You went undrafted. You spent time in the G League. To carve out an identity in the league, to embrace an identity. You were recently named sixth man of the year. You've toggled between starting at times, coming off the bench, if there's injuries. But just the process for you coming into the league, trying to carve out that identity, and then getting to the point you're at now where you've embraced it and you're just an important piece, a pivotal piece on a championship level team.
Yeah. It's definitely been a dope journey and, different than, others, obviously. Like you said, I was McDonald's All-American, top 5, top 3, ranked, kind of thought I pretty much had it all going into college, played a college season, went into the draft, was undrafted. I think that kind of helped me in many ways. I think it kind of had me shift my mindset to, I was always at top of the class, top of the dog. Now I had to, hunt and kind of had to figure out, a way to, show that I belong again. And I think that kind of helped me to just never give up, always stay with it and stick with it. And, obviously your opportunity, your chance will come now. I kind of tell the younger guys on our team now who, they don't really get a chance to play, just, have that mindset, just to stay even keel. You never know what could happen. Obviously everybody's watching at some point. So I think just stay focused and keep grinding.
How long did it take you to really come to this realization on like a personal level in terms of wrapping your head around these ups and downs?
I think actually right after the draft, I was ready to go. I kind of knew, throughout midway through the draft, I'm like, all right, it might not happen. So kind of was training myself to all right, now it's time to have a shifted mindset to where, all right, now, like I said before, you got to hunt now. You kind of got to show, why you belong in this league. So it definitely didn't take too much time or too much thinking because at the end of the day, like I said, I was never going to give up. Obviously that, that dream of walking the stage, being drafted wasn't going to happen, but I never gave up though.
I was also McDonald's All-American, and I also had a good career at Duke, and I didn't go undrafted, but I was a lottery pick. And it's weird because it was almost in some ways like the opposite reflection when I got drafted. It was one of the few times in my life where I felt like I had made it. And it's interesting. It in a way took a little bit of edge off of me. And it took me getting punched in the mouth my first couple of years in the league, really first season and a half, until I sort of started this process of what is my identity in the league? What can I be as a player? And it doesn't always happen overnight. I think what's interesting with you is you're doing this and you're still only 24 years old. You have this long journey ahead, and I hope no one out there puts a box on your career or your skill set, because you can do a bunch of interesting things, whether that's the jelly fan bullshit or shooting the three at a high clip. Just the development of shooting the basketball. It's obviously a necessity, and it's obviously an important part of modern NBA basketball. How did all of that development fit in to you figuring out your place on the Timberwolves specifically?
Yeah, so, growing up, I kind of played the same role that I play now, whereas though, I was pretty much a 4 growing up. I never really was a center or 5 or something like that. So, I always was, able to bring up the ball. I was always able to like, shoot the ball as well. So it kind of like the NBA kind of like, shifted that way in the perfect time for me as I was growing up. I mean, I used to work out with guards all the time. Like I never was really in the post. I always wanted to do what the guards what the guards were doing, stuff like that. So I always worked out with guards. I never really worked out with bigs that much until like maybe like my junior senior year, to where I kind of understood that kind of have to have both, moving forward. But like, yeah, like I always worked out with guards. So it's kind of like as far as why I know, being able to dribble, pass, shoot the ball, and things like that, and kind of like I said, man, the way that the NBA is now, it's kind of like you kind of had that shift at the right time. So it just makes sense for me, and I'm able to like calculate some of those things. But I think I would say the transition as far as like guarding, switches and things like that, that was definitely different for me. I think I just had to get more acclimated and more comfortable with it, but I was able to do that as well. I kind of got me into the role that I am right now because being at we're a big team, so some at some moments you're gonna have to be able to guard a guard. So
When you were in high school, can you explain to the people in the audience who may not know the backstory of the Jelly Fam and just like what the specific rules were, kind of how it meant to be, but then also to your point about playing like a guard, how that was different for a guy your size having to do this?
yeah, yeah. So it was a group, like a decent sized group, about 8 of us. Some of them are pro overseas, some are still in college, so we're all still doing our thing. But like, yeah, like the specifics where you had to jelly 3 times in the game on somebody. So like, they were like, obviously finesse layups or something like that, and had to be on somebody 3 times. It had to be made, and that someone had to see it. Or it had to be recorded or someone like that, or somewhere of that nature. But yeah, like I was big, but like I always wanted to do what I wasn't supposed to be doing, I guess, at that time. So yeah, I used to work out with Javon Quinterly, Isaiah Washington, Leandre Washington. Like I'm just working out with guards, just getting, Atiba Taylor. I'm just getting things that they used to do. I'm getting comfortable with it to where it kind of just became part of my game. And like I said, the transition at the time in the NBA was kind of going towards that way with, stretch bigs and then being able to shoot.
This year's Minnesota team, 3 seed in the West, over 55 wins, number 1 defense in the league. I was thinking about it today, and 2 things really stood out from the end of last season. We've mentioned this a bunch of times. Number of people within the Nuggets organization, players and whatnot, really felt like you guys were a difficult matchup. And, some of that, of course, was without you and without Jaden. The other thing that stands out was what happened, right? The end of last season in the last game, Kyle and Rudy having a conflict, Jaden deciding to punch the concrete wall and not the padded wall on the other side of the tunnel. But it feels like this group, and we were talking about this at lunch earlier today with one of your peers in the NBA. It feels like this group has a really special connection to each other, the camaraderie, the chemistry, the buy-in to roles, all of those things. How did that sort of play out over the last year, particularly when you make the Gobert trade? It's got to be new for everybody. How did this sort of development of chemistry and togetherness and cohesion develop over the last year?
Yeah, like I think last year we kind of figured out, knew we could be special. We just kind of had to figure it out. I mean, everything's not perfect. We kind of had a rocky start. Like you said, we had a situation with Kyle and Rudy and Jaden, and I broke my wrist. Yeah, but like, I think we all came together at that summer. Like, I think we had a retreat or something like that. We came together and we kind of just, we had a bond and a friendship, and we kind of felt like it was moving towards a brotherhood. And then, everybody going into, their individual, that they had the World Cup and all that stuff. Everybody played extremely well. Everybody did what they were supposed to do. And I think once everybody got back, I think we actually gelled more that time than we had before we had that event. I think everybody kind of just knew going in that we all had one mission, we all had one goal. There was no individual accolades. We all got our money. We all like it was nothing else to look forward to but a ring. So I think everybody kind of has that same mindset, and when you have that mindset, you kind of you kind of help your teammates figure out things that you might not thought you'd be able to help them figure out with last year. Just so forth and so on. You're there for your teammates. We chill with each other outside of basketball. We're always together. So like that's something that's huge for us. I mean, I think like we always text, we always communicate. So I think like that camaraderie right there, man, it speaks for itself. Like all of that matters. Like it just helps. Like it makes things so much easier on the court. Like
What's it like being Ant's teammate right now?
It's a great
I mean,
question.
even growing up, it's like he's always been this way. But one, he was young, and two, kind of had to grow, and obviously the publicity that he has now and stuff like that is a little bit more scoped on him. But like he's always been like this though. But it's great to be his teammate. He's a great leader. He's a young leader, and the thing is like he's super young and he knows how to lead, and he knows how to communicate. He knows how to build his teammates. He's just a guy that you obviously want to have around. It speaks for itself.
There's a maturity. There's still like a joyful and childlike nature to I think some of the shit talking and just
Yeah.
like fully being himself, which I
Mhm.
find fascinating because it's contrasted against this real maturity and leadership. Um, in terms of the game itself, how have you seen him grow this year in terms of his game, and how has that matured?
Um, I would say like he's using all facets. Like before, he would just go left to where you kind of would just be able to shit him right. He wouldn't want to go right. He's using all types of facets. His body. He's getting to the lane. He's finishing over guys, multiple guys. He's embracing double teams and things of that nature. He knows how to make that next pass or that right read. That's just things that I've seen to where like he wasn't purposely doing obviously, but like he came from you know teams where it was around him. It's he has to score and that's what it is. But he's kind of built that identity to where he's trying to make the right read. Like you said, he's still young. To where he has those moments where he's completely himself. But nobody's perfect and he's still growing. Like he's only 22, so I think he has a lot more growing to do, and he will improve.
A lot of the joy stuff, the trash talking, a lot of that stuff has gone viral. I said the other day, and I sometimes I have to commentate on things, and I don't mean to speak for teams and players, but it's just observational, if that makes sense. Yours is
Mhm.
experiential, and so this is an important question for me, just to know. I said it feels like the leadership piece goes beyond just talking to your teammates. The leadership piece goes beyond the work you put in. It feels like with Anthony, the leadership piece, his attitude, his fearlessness, you guys take that on as well, right? It's
Yeah,
your team is a reflection of his attitude and approach to the game right now. Do you feel that? Is that accurate?
yeah, 100%. And like like the stuff that he says is just like it just builds your confidence as his teammate. Like it's just like you can see like you make a shot, he's all in your face like with excitement. Like you miss a shot, he's still in your face with excitement. So I think for him it's just like he's just a confidence booster. Like you said, he's fearless and it makes you fearless. And you going at guys who are all stars, top guys in the league. So it's just like the way he goes about his everyday, his swag or whatever the case may be, like it builds your confidence, and he's trying to get you to be better each and every way.
JJ loves the word sicko, NBA sickos. The
Mhm.
way you guys play defense, people were talking about this with Nikhil the other night when he was laughing, picking up 94 feet, was just like, it was like sort of like a sicko defense.